family church. Yes, and one minute he was at the centre of world attention as the brother-in-law of the Queen, and now he's just quietly lying there. It's a crazy little building, isn't it? Turnpike Cottage and a vineyard. And you think you only have them in California? Why do these villages exist? One word: slate. Slate was the basic, essential industry here. Slate for house roofs for the most part, for building.
So what happened? How come business is no longer going on?
Three things really. About halfway through the last century. First of all, the economics of it, the cost of production. B, a lot of the best slate was kind of worked out easily and it became more. C, people wanted to have artificial, modern technological materials for house building. Slate went kind of out of fashion. And just economic change in general. Yes, it can be repurposed now. It can be ground down for powders, for pharmaceutical products, for beauty products. Anything where you need a neutral fine powder. Anything dermo-abrasive can use slate. It's neutral, it's not harmful.
So this is all waste over here?
This is all waste.
Okay. I see some nice farmland up ahead.
Yeah, this is where it's really changing.
Yes.
Out to the slate area as well. No, it's essentially, there are some legacy companies that still own the land, as it were. So it's privately owned. But increasingly it is being used now, and it's also used for decorative purposes in gardens. And those are really typical of the area. Crowia. They look like, that's a really pure one there, of upright slates. But you'll notice that in the 19th century began to be wired together, making for a really, really strong stock-proof fence. And they've just cut the grass there. It's rather brown.
So we are now in Snowdonia National Park.
We are indeed. And we're just entering the more mountainous part of it.
Nice.
Narrow roads, overhanging trees. Very green, yes. Low-hanging clouds. Just isolated farms. Stone walls everywhere dividing the fields.
So they have lamb. What are those? Yeah, right.
Yeah, lambs, yeah, the kids, yeah.
Look at those clouds. They're like totally kissing the mountains.
Yeah, they just... Usually it's closed because of the sunshine, it makes it too hot. Drws y coed. Drws is a door. Coed is the wood or forest.
Drws y coed?
Yeah.
So instead of coed, it's coed.
Coed, yeah. So the gate of the forest. And a chapel here on the left. Still in use, this Protestant chapel. Clearly not this morning, or at least not at the moment, but it's still in use.
Yeah, when I think of Wales, this is what I think of.
Yeah, I think this is typical here, yeah. Or maybe stereotypical more than even typical. Wow, can you see that the farmer's moving some sheep on that farm?
Oh yes, all the way up there, yes.
Yeah.
Well, they're moving it, right?
simply using a dog or dogs sometimes, very
yeah.
well trained dogs, to get them to move to wherever he wants them to move to. Right, there's a hiking group here. Just keeping an eye on this. Not the best place to walk, actually.
No.
Side of a busy road.
Oh.
Welsh poppies on the side of the road there, yellow ones.
Is that what you
Yeah. Purple flowers are rhododendrons from the Himalayas, introduced in the 19th century. Betus Garman. Betus, a place of prayer and oratory, and Garman, the name of a saint or holy man.
And which castle is this?
This is Dolbadam Castle, a Welsh castle where Llywelyn the Great imprisoned his brother for 20 years.
Wow.
There was a dispute about who would be the successor to their father, and that's how he solved it.
Put him in prison.
Put him in prison for 20 years. That's how to treat your brother.
This had a nice view.
He got a good view. I just hope there's a window in the room he was
Exactly.
incarcerated in. Lying down. Traditionally a sign of rain. No, I'm not
Yes.
talking about scientific accuracy here. I'm just saying,
But
folk stuff.
we already had the rains. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Tell me when I can go. I won't look at where you're looking. Then I'm just watching the road.
You can go.
Those people are blessed by living here.
Yeah, but I bet you they don't realise that.
They don't realize how blessed they are.
Yeah, who of us does? You guys are in a wonderful place. Do you recognise that Southern California is one of the greatest places on earth?
For the weather, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the slate on our left is above where we were earlier.
Okay.
Part of that same slate quarry. The Llanberis Pass down there we'll be passing through, and right ahead of us up there with its head in the clouds, which is quite normal, is Snowdon itself, the highest mountain in Wales and England. So it's really not unusual not to see the summit. Looking out over Padan Lake to another slate quarry, also redundant over there. We can see all the way out to Anglesey and the ocean beyond. The sheep are feeding quietly and they're just kind of happy with life.
You're happy because the sun came out.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
An incredible view.
It is a storming view up here, it really is, isn't it?
So green.
Yeah, when the weather is right and the sun is right, occasionally there is the train that goes up Snowdon.
Yes.
We can see it in the distance. Not happening at the moment. But after we've eaten, you never know.
So across the way, the opening, is that where the slate is also?
Yeah, that's also a slate quarry, a redundant slate quarry.
God.
They're actual 10,000 year old. Yeah? This brown one, at this side, this is the leader of the pack.
The black one?
Yes, wherever he goes, this lot will follow. This is the billy herd. There's a family herd as well that's up the top. These have just moved up from the woods because of the weather.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, incredible old things. You watch a long walk over this side of the view.
All right.
So that type of material on the roof, does it get any? So water doesn't go.
No, it is impermeable, and it typically lasts about 150 years.
Oh my.
And the evidence of that, if you look at a graveyard, you know, and the gravestones are made out of slate, look at the writing, and you might have a grave from, totally making this up, you know, 1860.
Oh, they're fishing.
Yeah. You can see where the original highway ran round the edge of the cliff here. Then this was built 1935, and then there's a brand, well, not new, in the 1980s we had yet another tunnel further in for the left, the westbound carriageway. We're looking over there at the Great Orme, and then an isthmus, a stretch of land between there and the coast over there at Deganwy. We're about 3 miles from Conwy.
That town over there is called
No, that's Deganwy,
Deganwy.
on the other side of the Conwy estuary.
Other issues. That's something else. The 2-hour thing is a totally different thing. But yeah, when
Convex Conway.
oh, this is so beautiful. I just love Conwy.
Town wall.
So the pronunciation is see, in Spanish it will be Conwy.
Yeah, Conwy, that's what we'd say.
Oh, let me ask you
Conwy.
this.
Conwy.
Yeah,
So
Conwy.
everything it's spelled without the A, but except on the 100-year-old building in Conway, there's an A in there.
Yeah,
No.
that's really old-fashioned, you know. That's like calling New Orleans Nouveau Orleans. You know, you can do it. Yeah.
But why would they have the O? The A, 100 years ago, but not now?
I think it was prior to a kind of agreed, settled spelling. And that was perfectly possible historically. Shakespeare spelt his name about 6 ways.
Okay. The traffic jam in Conway. Wow.
Yeah.
I
Good
see a
job,
tour
we're in
bus.
plenty of time. Yeah, you're right, that's why. Yeah.
Oh my God! Look at this. Look at the bakery.
Oh my
Well,
god.
When
Yeah.
we were there this morning, it was closed, but so look at wow. It's funny because during the day you see tons of people because of all the tours.
Yeah.
At night, the streets are empty pretty much.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we're back at the castle. What a nice castle. Yeah, we enjoyed the castle.
We have to help a lady yesterday with her baby, with her
Oh.
girl.
I'm in a wheelchair.
In a wheelchair.
The castle is a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the concept of a wheelchair didn't
Right,
exist in
exactly.
1300.
Yeah.
So you get a good view of the river,
Wow.
and it opens out again after this crash bar.
There we go.
An unusual church hall ahead of us. architect Herbert North. There was going to be a church to go with it, but the church never got built. It's just a private house now. Rhyn means Caer, we've already heard, means fortified site, camp. And Rhyn is an abbreviation of Rhyfeiniaid, the Romans. So a Roman camp, excavated in the 1920s with the condition that everything be put back exactly where it was. So there's a complete Roman fort here, and the next trees are on the bank of the Roman fort. So the Roman fort went across there. We're now in a Roman fort. And around the year 1200, a Christian church was built here. But I've got something special to show you, which we'll get to in a moment or two. Beautiful sheep here.
Battery gone.
I'll show you one more outside thing. Let's just look our noses inside. When we're here, we might as well have a quick look. We haven't been into the ancient church. Nobody here, as far as I can see. Not disturbing anybody. So,
Wow.
I'll give you some light. Do you want some light?
Yes.
Yes.
This is AD 1200 and you're here, okay? And this is very, very simple, maybe crude to some, but a feeling of being here 800 years ago and not much changing. There was an extension built though, just down here, which is always quite interesting. It was quite common to extend church buildings by creating a kind of L shape. So here's the extension from around the year 1590. Tremendous woodwork there called a bressumer, and you can see that the windows now are in a much more a fancier style, and that's going to tell you that's going to be probably 16th century over there, but we're still in the 1200s here. So there's your extension. Wow. But you are still in a church that's placed at an angle in the middle of a Roman camp. So the Romans were here. So if we'd have been here 1,800 years ago, we'd have been here with the Romans.
Oh.
That's how it would have been. Let's look. We need to go.
We need to go.